Good morning, my YouTube family. It is your boy Zeri from the XMG coming at you today to bring you the tier list. But before we get into the tier list, if you are not part of that XMG family, become part of the XMG family. Click the subscribe button, turn on notifications, blah, 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 blah. Don't forget about the giveaway. Almost to 600 subs, slowly climbing. So if you are watching and you are not a sub, please subscribe. Greatly helps out the channel. So let's get into the tier list. So the way I'm going to do the tier list is it is extremely objective, but a lot of people have asked me to do it. And all in all, it's not my favorite thing to do in the world, but the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to break it down by faction. And then once I get all the factions done, then I will put them all together. But I will release faction by faction, so you're not sitting there watching a 40-minute video. So the first faction I am going to break down today for you all is the human faction. And what we're going to do within the human faction is I'm just going to try to touch on maybe 4 to 5 points on each character. They could be all good, they could be all bad. It's just some things of why I'm going to rank that character. Then we will switch over to the overall grid, and then we will see where they rank. So as you can see, I have a legendary category, I have a rare category, uncommon, common, and trash. So just to kind of break those down, legendary is a must-have character, completely viable pretty much in any game mode. Rare is just the notch below, missing maybe 1 or 2 things that could bring them to the legendary status. Uncommon is somebody who could potentially have really good viability, but right now is lacking something, or they're only like really dominant in one game mode. Then common is people that just are really just average kind of characters, nothing real special about them. And trash is somebody I wouldn't sink any materials or resources in unless you really essentially have to. The first human on the list is Darien. Darien's a starter character. He is defender, dragon slayer, and a leader. What we really need to know about Darien is that he is the first leadership you're going to receive in the game, so that's a plus. He can taunt on his first turn. That's really nice. His second ability here, Inspiring Blow, is a horrendous AoE. I don't know why he even has it, to be honest with you. You do get the armor increase, but it's really nothing special. He is outpaced extremely quickly as compared to other tanks in this game or defenders in this game. Just really gets extremely outpaced rather quickly. And he's overall just a bland, average character. He is your quintessential starter character. So let's see where Darien ranks. So I have Darien coming in the trash category. He really offers nothing more than your average starter character. First leadership, first defender you are going to receive. You can put enough resources in him until you unlock a Kinley, Tromgar, something like that. He is just your overall, just bland, generic character. Has no synergies, really, that help out anybody. So that is why he comes in at trash. The next character up on the list is Soleus. Soleus is a healer and a leader. Soleus is just a flat-out amazing character. He is probably the best champion in the game, as well as the best healer in the game. His third ability here, Ammo's Blessing, is just extremely overpowered and amazing. Gives you a full heal, gives you armor increase, tenacity increased, haste, damage increase, and cheat death for 2 turns. Just unbelievable move. And then he has a synergy with Nightiel that is just the best in the game and extremely overpowered, in my opinion. I would be okay if they nerfed that synergy. It is just meta defining, and it's going to be for an extremely long time. The only real bad thing I can say about Soleus is that he's a legendary character. You can't get him right away. You have to put time and energy into orcs to unlock him, but he is well worth it. But that's really about the only bad thing I can say. He can be plug and played into any team. So let's see where Soleus ranks. There should be no surprise that Soleus is a legendary character. He is a legendary character, but he is truly a legendary character in my mind. Again, just amazing plug and play viability. Just all in all, fantastic. You can use him anywhere in the game. Arena, campaigns, raids, tournaments. He's just fantastic. Next up on the list is Freezard. Now, Freezard, for me, I probably undervalued him the first time I did a tier list, and that is simply because I didn't know how good he really was. So, a couple things we need to know about Freezard is that he has 2 AoEs. He has a slow on his basic, and then he has an AoE for 3 enemies, and then he has all enemy AoE. So just overall, his move kit is built to do damage. His passive ability here gives him cheat death, and it also adds it to Snorri, which is huge. A damage dealer who can cheat death underneath the Soleus lead is just super annoying. And he can reduce turn meter by 25% on his AoE. There's a 75% chance to decrease all turn meter by 25%. So that is absolutely huge and awesome. And also, he has a base potency of 41%, one of the highest in the game. So Freezard definitely has the potency to back up his move kit because he needs it. He has a 75% chance to inflict slow on his basics, so that is going to go through the double potency check. Then he has a 50% chance to add an armor decrease, again going through the double potency check. Then he has the 75% chance to decrease turn meter, again going through the double potency check. So you want that potency to be high, and he starts with one of the highest in the game in 41%. One of the things that I do not care for about Freezard is that his base health at gear 11 is 17k, which is awful. I have him ruined, and he is still not above 40,000. Well, just breaks 40,000, I guess you could say. So you have to put a lot of resources in him to make him survivable, but having the cheat death definitely helps, but that is one big drawback for Freezard. So let's find out where Freezard ranks. Freezard for me is a rare, and there's a couple reasons why he is rare. I believe last time I had him in an uncommon. I don't remember exactly, but I put him as a rare because he is just absolutely devastating. What we talked about earlier is no joke. He can benefit your team in many ways. The only thing that keeps Freezard, in my opinion, to be a legendary is the fact that he always has to do that double potency check. And having a 75% chance to reduce turn meter is really nice, but then it's got to go through that double tenacity, potency check. It's just, I wish it was only going through one, and that would make him so much better, but he is an extremely good character. Very, very borderline legendary character for me, but I have to put him in the rare status. Next character up on the list is Cruel. Cruel is a fighter and a mage. She is an extremely hard farm. She offers a lot to the table, though. She has a mirror image ability, which allows you to copy and make a reflection of anyone you want, so it can definitely benefit her and your team, and nearly any team comp. She can put stealth on a tank, and what I mean by that is I am the knight. She throws that at a defender, and it makes them invisible for 2 turns. They drop their taunt. It is also a direct counter to Kyra. And then with her passive ability, and I'm not going to read this whole thing, but essentially if you have 3 mages on the battlefield, everyone goes under stealth after her turn. So what that does is it makes the survivability of your team a lot, and that ties into her mirror image. So if you're only running 2 mages and the other team has a mage on it, you can mirror image the mage. That counts by the bound by shadows aspect of it, then turns everybody invisible. Cruel here at gear level 11, 80, only has a base speed of 140 to start. Really low, and you want her to go as fast and often, and making her, going, as you can see here, I have the speed and the health set on her. If that could be a damage instead of speed, if she had a higher base speed, we could look for speed in the secondaries, but instead we got to put 4 speed sets on her. So all in all, I really wish that was much higher to make her a much more viable character. So where do I have Cruel? Cruel for me is an obvious rare. She isn't legendary status. She's extremely good. She's obviously part of that meta. But her viability somewhat is hampered with you really gotta kind of hide her. She is slower, but she brings so much to the table. One of my favorite characters in the game. But definitely you want to have those 3 mages with her to keep everybody hidden. If you don't, she's easy to pick off, and you kind of move on with your day, and it makes it a lot easier. But if she can stay hidden, she can get the mirror image off, and if she makes a mirror image of herself, then that mirror image can make another mirror image. So she definitely has a lot of viability to bring to the table. Not as high on the list, as a legendary per se as a Freezard in my opinion, even though I love this character, but definitely deserves to be in the rare. Alright, next up on the list we have Robin Bad. Now Robin Bad is a fighter, ranger, and traveler, and I had Robin Bad as trash before. Doing the For Noob series, I learned he's actually not that bad, and if you have really nothing else to work on, he could be somebody who could be a minimal plug-and-play character for what he brings to the table. Some really good things about Robin Bad are that his basic cannot be dodged. So that is huge. And the dodge, all the problems going on with dodge, having a basic that can't be dodged, and he also has a chance to do counter on his basic, which to me is a plus and a minus because it's a 25% chance to counter enemies. But if you don't put him with humans, you don't get the extra 5% for each living human in the party, and who are you taking out in your human team to put this guy in? You're really not. One of the other good things is that his third ability here, the Cunning Fox, he applies crit damage increase and applies it to all enemies. Then he gains himself a damage increase. So applying crit damage, I believe there's only one other character in the game that gives you straight crit damage, and that is something to be said in itself. Some things that just drive me crazy about this character is that his low health and shield combination. I mean, I have him ruined, and he is 36,000 combined. Just extreme glass cannon. He is your definition of a glass cannon. He also has a very low space speed of 129. Just, it's awful. But he is not as bad as I originally thought. So where am I going to rank him now? Robin Bad for me just bumps up to a common. He could be an uncommon character if he was not so squishy and if his base speed wasn't 129. The real benefit of him is that he can counter and his basic can't be dodged. You don't need speed for that, but I get it. But you want those buffs to go off, and you're going to be having him on your team to do damage, and he is just so slow that it really hinders him from moving up the list. So I believe that Robin Bad truly is a common character. Next up on the list, we have Eric the Shieldbreaker. Eric the Shieldbreaker is a human fighter warrior and a gladiator. I do like Eric the Shieldbreaker for the mid-game. He can definitely bring a lot to the team, especially in the arena. And the reason for that is his third ability, Rousing Cry, where you gain debuff immunity and armor increase at level 6 to all enemies for 4 allies for 2 turns. So that is one of the best moves in the game for arena. He does have a very good passive for a human team where he gets physical damage and then increases it by each living human in the party. But again, who are you taking out to put in Eric the Shieldbreaker? For mid-game, you don't have Cruel yet. You may have Freezard if you bought the pack. You're going to have Snorri, so he can definitely benefit a mid-game team. And his base speed, again, is just awful. 119 overall. Just, ugh. And then towards the end of the mid-game, he is definitely losing his viability, and he really isn't seen to be where you need him. Now, you can form a couple teams for the Dragon Raid in late game where his Rousing Cry is definitely going to benefit you, especially if you're fighting Soleus. But all in all, he just loses that viability in most areas of the game at the end of the mid-game. So where do I have Eric the Shieldbreaker ranked? For me, Eric the Shieldbreaker is a common character. His Rousing Cry is one of the best moves in the game, and he does have some viability in the T7 raid, like I was saying, but all in all, he just doesn't do anything to set himself from common to uncommon. If I had to rank like everyone in the common, he would definitely be in the higher tier common, maybe very low uncommon, but all in all, I feel he deserves the rank of common. Next up on the list, we have Little Baddie. She is the defender and a gladiator. Now, Little Baddie, in my opinion, is the best tank in the game. What she brings to the table is that on her third ability, she can inflict blindness at a 30% chance for 2 turns. And if that sticks on somebody like a Tromgar, absolutely amazing. And then on her second ability, Shield Throw, her taunting mechanism, she dispels buffs. You know, she deals damage with the ability to remove 1 buff. That is also just one of the best taunting mechanisms in the game, so extremely, extremely useful there. And then to top it all off, on her basic ability, she has an 80% chance to decrease the target's turn meter by 25%. Now, you run her under a Soleus lead where humans have the chance to counter. Her basic attack has an 80% chance to remove 25% turn meter, so definitely huge in that aspect. Another really good thing about Little Baddie is that her health and shield combination to start is already close to 60,000, so that is just humongous. For a tank, more survivability is great. One of the real big drawbacks for me is, one, she doesn't really do a lot of damage, but she's a defender, so I can live with that. But her starting potency is only 27%, and she needs a lot of potency. As you can see, as we talked about, her first ability, 80% chance, double potency check. Shield throw. You know, she does remove a buff, but it has to go through the single tenacity potency check, and then it's only a 30% chance to inflict a blindness, so we have to go through double that. Now, her passive ability is just downright amazing for a tank, flawless defense, and that is where she is killed. She revives herself with shield. That is equal to 30% of her max health. Only triggered once per battle, but that is enough to swing the tide in your favor. So all in all, she's just a great, great tank. She is a little bit hard to get. You know, you get her through the common events, and you build her up over time. So again, just fantastic. The best tank in the game, in my opinion. So where do I have her ranked? Little Baddie comes into me as a rare. She is just amazing at what she does. She potentially could be a legendary, but she can be used as a plug-and-play tank, I should say that, but she doesn't really benefit from being a plug-and-play tank. Her real strength is under a Soleus lead, where she can constantly be healed. She has the cheat death. She gets the counterattack. So all in all, she is a very high-tier rare, but just not enough all-around viability, in my opinion, to be put in the legendaries category. And the final human in the tier list is Snorri. Now, Snorri is a tactician, warrior, and dragon slayer. Just really cool concept, like the Nordic vibe kind of looking guy, just like him overall, the way he looks. Some really good things about him. To start at gear 11, level 80, his physical damage is almost at 3,000 already, so he can pump out some massive damage. His second ability here, Deadly Whirlwind, does some really good damage, but it also is a mass bleed. Now, it does have to pass only one of the tenacity and potency checks, but all in all, just a mass bleed is huge. And then his Berserker stance, his passive ability, he gains 50% turn meter and removes 3 debuffs at level 6. He also gains speed and critical chance. So as you can see, removing 3 debuffs, giving yourself 40 speed and 25% physical chance, and then giving yourself 50% turn meter, Berserker stance is just an overall amazing move. Now, some things about Snorri is that he is again a glass cannon. His health and shield combination, ruined, is just over 40,000, just very squishy, and he really needs Freezard to benefit his move kit where he gets the cheat death because he is so squishy. So let's find out where I have Snorri ranked. Now, Snorri is an uncommon. He is a higher tier uncommon in my opinion, but he's still an uncommon character. And the reason for that is he can be used in other packages like with a Revol or things of that nature. But what he really needs to benefit him the most is being in a human team with Freezard by his side. He does have synergy with Hilda, but in my mind that is just an absolute garbage synergy. But people use Snorri in different compositions, and he's nearly not as effective as he is under a human lead with Soleus by his side and Freezard in this team. And that really, to me, brings down his rare status to an uncommon. Higher end uncommon, but still an uncommon. So there you go, everybody. There's your human tier list. Feel free to disagree with me. Let me know what you think. Humans, to me, are the most complete and best faction in the game as we see it today. On March 13th, 2020, humans are by far and away, in my opinion, the best faction that we have in the game. I mean, you have 1 legendary, 3 rares, 1 uncommon, 2 commons, and 1 trash. It does have a lot of people involved in that, but just 1 legendary and 3 rares, you almost have a full team right there. So all in all, the human faction is just overpowered and amazing. Next up on the list here, we're just going to kind of go, just so everybody knows, we're just going to kind of go in order. So next on the list here will be elves, then we'll go pandas, orcs, goblins, pride, demon. So that is where we are at. I hope you all liked it. That's what I got for everybody today. I'll see you in the next one. Busy weekend for me. Once again, youngest turned 6. So we got parties out the wazoo. So that's what I got for everybody. I love y'all. Don't forget to subscribe, notification, blah, 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 and the giveaway. See you in the next one. I'm out.